Alrighty guys, we are starting into chapter 6. So we're going to go through our vocab, and I condensed the vocab and just threw everything together from sections 1 and section 2. It's all about photosynthesis, so I figured it'd be better to just, hit it all out at one time. I realize that there are a lot of terms here, but I did try to minimize the definitions as well, so there isn't as much writing for each one. So if you look in the book at these definitions, they are extremely long. I highly suggest that you use my PowerPoint and the video in order to do your definitions. So the first one is an autotroph, and these are organisms that use energy from sunlight to make organic compounds. And we always call plants autotrophs because they are really the only ones that can, create energy. We can't go outside and just stand in the sun and, catch lunch. We actually have to eat in order to do that. Photosynthesis is just the process of making food from the sun. So they take all that sun energy, they add carbon dioxide, they add water, and they end up getting glucose, which is what this formula shows down here. And glucose is a carbohydrate, it's a sugar, and that is their food. Heterotroph, these are organisms that must eat to get energy. That's like you and me or any kind of an animal that you'll see. Fish also do this. Light reactions. So there's a couple parts to photosynthesis. The light reactions are the first part, and this is where light energy is converted into chemical energy. This all happens within the chloroplast, and these are organelles that are only located in plants, and they photosynthesize. So all those green circles you see in there, those are chloroplasts. Now, we don't have chloroplasts. If we did, we would also be green in color. So that's one way to know that we don't have them. Again, the other way is that we cannot stand outside in the sun and magically start to feel full because we can't create food from light. The thylakoid is a flattened sac where the light reactions take place. And everything's marked there. You see the chloroplast, there's an outer membrane, an inner membrane, the lumen, stroma, granum, thylakoid. So each one of these individual little discs is a thylakoid. The lumen is basically the inside of a thylakoid. It's kind of like that gushy stuff. Like we have a cytoplasm, that's the lumen. A granum is a whole stack of thylakoids. The stroma is the solution that surrounds the grana. So again, that's kind of like the cytoplasm in our cells. The stroma is the inner workings of the chloroplast. A pigment is a compound that absorbs light. And normally when we think of pigments, we think of colors, and there is a wide variety of pigments out there that absorb visible light. And this is the visible light spectrum right here. And you can see, we can see colors from purple all the way ranging down to some deep reds. All the other ones are things that we cannot see. Those are all the other wavelengths. Chlorophyll is a green pigment that plants use to make food. And if you notice there is a chlorophyll A and a chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll B is going to be absorbing more of the blues. Chlorophyll A is going to absorb more of the red colors. So the plant's absorbing the blues and the reds, and that's why it ends up being green. That's pretty much the only other light or color that it can become. Carotenoids, these are yellow, oranges, and brown pigments. Photosystems harvest light energy for the light reactions. Primary electron acceptor, this definition used to be extremely long. I shortened it up. It's just an acceptor of electrons. Please don't miss that on a test. The electron transport chain is going to move electrons within the mitochondria and the chloroplast. Plants have both the mitochondria and a chloroplast, whereas we only have one. Chemiosmosis is the synthesis of ATP. So synthesis means making. Basically, you're making ATP. Calvin cycle is changing carbon dioxide into sugars. Carbon fixation is changing carbon dioxide into organic compounds for living organisms. So plants do this, and also some bacteria go through carbon fixation or nitrogen fixation as well. Stomata, these are small pores on the leaves. Most of the time they're on the underside of the plants, And this is a blown up picture of a stomata. They can be open, and that's going to allow, the light in, but it also releases water, which is why they are located underneath the leaf. If it was located on top of the leaf and the leaf sees the sun, then that water is just going to start evaporating out of them. But if they're on the underside, at least they're going to be a little bit shaded. Now it's going to be hot, so water will still leave, but not as much. And then plants can close their stomata as well, so they're only going to open them up if they need to take in carbon dioxide. The C4 pathway is making 4 carbon compounds from carbon dioxide, and I shortened carbon dioxide to CO2. The CAM pathway is a pathway used by plants to save water, and they're still going to be going through carbon fixation. It's just a different way for them to do it. They change when they open their stomata up, and most of the time plants that live in really dry, arid temperatures like the desert are going to use these. And that is it. So then we have that little game that we'll review. You can play it on your own. I will post all of this stuff into Canvas. Make sure that you have your definitions all written down and that you submit them so that you get credit.